Welcome to this episode of Wednesday Wisdom, a follow-up to Monday Minute's topic of procrastination. I appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to join me in this topic, and I know that there's a lot of information out there about procrastination. I am offering it from my perspective, as I said on Monday Minute, and how it impacts the students that I work with, which a lot of which have disabilities of some sort. Learning disabilities, ADHD, whether it's the combined type or an attentive type, maybe depression or anxiety, or some other disability such as autism. As a matter of fact, I personally am a procrastinator and I have ADD. And I always used to beat myself up for it when I was in college because I was like, why do I always put this stuff off? Why do I always wait till the last minute? And it was always the last minute that I was doing my papers. But for me, I didn't know I had ADD and I didn't know I needed to use strategies. But the strategy I did use was I was running around the house and I was sweeping the floors and mopping the floors and vacuuming and doing the laundry and walking the dogs and doing all the things necessary to get physical activity in. But the whole time I was thinking through what I was going to write and what the topic was and what I knew about the topic and what information I needed to go with it. So while I procrastinated, I was processing. And so I'm going to get into some of the things about procrastination today and why we procrastinate and what's going on with some of that. So the first step, I like to go with definitions. What is procrastination? And it is the action of delaying or postponing doing something. So I remember one specific time I had a presentation I was preparing for. It was a 30-minute presentation. And I knew the topic and I knew the audience. And I kind of had in my head been planning what I was going to say. But it was like 3 days before the presentation, and I still had not sat down and written the presentation. Well, if you haven't written a presentation, you can't really rehearse it, so therefore I was going to be heavily dependent on my notes. The first thing I did was I called up my friend, and I'm like, I know I've got to do this thing, and I can't make myself sit down and do the thing. So she broke it down for me. She said, Lori, can you go over to your computer? Why, yes, of course I can. Can you turn your computer on? Sure. Well, can you open a document? Yes, I can. All right, Lori, what's one word you want to make sure you mention in your presentation? Okay, I know what it is. Okay, she said, put it on the screen, type it up. So I did. As soon as my fingers started typing, I was good to go. But it took a friend to help me, and B, breaking it down into those tiny chunks that I felt accomplished, that I could do. But scrolling back, it took me knowing I absolutely had to get it done, and I needed help, and I wasn't getting it because I wasn't getting it done. So it took a lot to do that. So why? Why did I put it off? Why did I procrastinate, even though I knew what I wanted to talk about, and I knew my audience, and I knew the day was coming? Well, we procrastinate for a lot of reasons, but due to my research, one thing is maybe we feel bored. We feel bored with locking in and getting something done or on paper. Or we perceive it's going to be boring or unpleasant. Maybe we have a lack of belief in our abilities, and that is huge for people with ADHD or ADD. We don't think we can do it. We feel like there's imposter syndrome going on all the time, like we're not capable of doing things that the task in front of us. So we put it off. We have fear of failure or anxiety around failing or not being successful at what we're trying to get done. Or like I used to be a perfectionist hugely, and I remember one day saying my boss saying to me, she said, Lori, you're always setting yourself up for failure because you're always going for perfection and there is no such thing. So her recommendation was go for remarkable. And I thought, I can be remarkably awful, but I'm still remarkable. So perfectionism is a real thing and is a real issue and is a real stopper. And then the fifth thing is distractions. That's another reason a lot of times we procrastinate doing something because, well, there's this over here and there's this over here. And these things bring us instant gratification, so we'd much prefer to do those. So there's just some of the reasons that we as adults may procrastinate, but it's true of children as well, especially if they don't know what the end result should look like. Because if we don't know what it should look like, we don't know how to put all the steps together to get there. So it's real important if students are procrastinating, number one, that we address that immediately, because procrastination becomes a really bad habit that can really impact your life in a negative way, as I'm going to get into. It overall creates bad patterns of behavior that we just need to nip in the bud, because otherwise, again, it can become a very big thing in a child's life. So for all the same reasons adults do it, children will do it too. They don't know what it looks like. They're bored. They don't want to do it, or that instant gratification. What I'm doing over here is more fun. So we all do that, and it's the same. So people ask, well, do kids outgrow procrastination? Why, certainly they can, and especially if they're supported and taught all along the way about things that need to happen, and responsibility and planning and prioritization, then yes, in fact, they will get better at not procrastinating, especially if we don't start doing it for them. If we start doing it for them, then they will really procrastinate. So there's a balance there, parents. And if you've not seen it, I've done a topic on failure and letting your kids fail and how hard that is, but things you can do to get through that. It's a real important topic to look at. So kids will do that for the exact same reasons we do. And yes, it's possible to outgrow it. However, they really have to be supported and taught to make sure that they will. All right. There are studies out there that suggest that procrastination can lead to issues in terms of health. It can lead to mental health issues. It can lead to physical issues. Because if we're not doing something when we need to do it, it adds stress and anxiety. Because now we're under a time crunch, and we're getting that adrenaline rush. And sustained adrenaline rush and that fight, flight, or freeze, it's really bad for our immune system. It's bad for a lot of things, and it causes a lot of stress. So we need to watch that and just balance that, and procrastination can lend itself towards some of those things. It can lead towards obsessive compulsive disorder. It can lead to anxiety. It can lead to other health issues because of that ongoing stress and that automatic stress response that then creates chemicals in our body, which creates all kinds of issues. So we want to stay away from that. Additionally, I want to talk about the fact that, as I said in the introduction, the Monday Minute, procrastination is not laziness. You are not lazy, and you should not beat yourself up over not getting things done when you think they should be done. Procrastination truly is emotional dysregulation. We're not regulated because we have all these fears wrapped around what we think is going to happen, or beliefs about ourselves, about how we can handle things. And that self-regulation, we're dysregulated, therefore we can't get it going on. And that can lead to other things as well. So again, procrastination isn't something we just ignore. It's something we need to pay attention to. And so one of the things we can do to avoid procrastination and help our kids avoid procrastination, let's talk about these. There are 8 of them. Number 1, admit we're procrastinating. Yes, I need to do this, and yes, I'm procrastinating. That's the first step. 2, set up a space for you to get the thing done that you need to do. And ask yourself, am I doing the thing to get the thing that I want? Am I doing the thing I need to do to get the thing that I want? And if that's not the case, then set up a space for you that's distraction-free, no people around, nothing to distract you like your phone or something like that, and use that space, which leads to the next one, eliminate distractions. So if it's a student and they have this here nearby and they say, oh, I need it, find out what they need it for. If they need it for a calculator, get them a calculator so they don't need their phone. If you listen to it for music, they can set up a playlist, and then they don't need it because they just have the playlist playing in their earbuds. Whatever excuses they use, find a way around it so that you can remove those distractions. And if you can get them to do it willingly, it's much better. So set goals you can reach, set deadlines for starting, set deadlines for doing parts of what you're trying to get done. That helps. And number 5, if you work with a study group or at least one other person, especially with those check-ins, especially with those breaking it down into chunks and getting it done at certain points, if you're working with somebody and doing those check-ins, That helps a lot. When you meet those goals and you hit those markers of, we want to have this done by this time, celebrate, reward yourself. We get a dopamine hit, and it's a feel good, and it will increase our being able to do it again and again. Take a break. Take a break after working while. If you know that one of the reasons that you don't want to get into this is going to be really intense and it's going to take a long time and you're going to be really tired at the end of it, set yourself up for success. Put breaks in there. Work for half an hour, 45 minutes, take a 15-minute break. Whatever works for you to get the job done. And if you're the type of person that you get really laser focused and it's just intense and you get it done and then at the end you're exhausted, fine. Set it up that way, but make sure you're scheduling the break on the end of that. Okay, I'm going to be exhausted. I need at least 12 hours to do nothing and just chill. Fair enough. Know yourself. And then lastly, hold yourself accountable. If you can't do this for yourself, please, 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 get with a friend, get with an accountability buddy, get with somebody that's responsible that can help you hold yourself accountable. So those are things to avoid procrastination. And now we're going to talk about 5 tips to overcome procrastination. So if you're procrastinating, the first step is admit you're procrastinating. The next thing is, whatever it is, just start. If you haven't scheduled the time and you're registering, okay, I'm procrastinating, just what's one thing I can do? Just like the beginning story, what's one thing I can do to get started? Can I pick up the phone? Can I make a phone call? Can I make a list? Can I do just a little bit of research? Can I type in the word of the thing that I'm working on? Something that gets you started, and that momentum will usually help keep you going. Work with a study group or one other person. We already talked about that. And with that, break it down into manageable chunks. So just like my friend, can you go to your computer? Can you turn your computer on? Can you, break it down in manageable chunks. Make that list, whatever it is, to just get started. Become more organized. Make that list. Maybe that's the thing you do to get started. You made the list. Increase your motivation. Talk to somebody about what you're doing. Talk about what it's going to be like when it's done. Talk about the rewards you're going to get from that. And that will help you move past that procrastination. And again, understand that you're not being lazy, that you need a tool. So if you're going, oh, I'm so lazy, first of all, you're claiming that you're lazy, therefore you're going to be lazy. And if you're beating yourself up over being lazy, again, you're going to just feel bad and it's not going to motivate you to get things done. So do something to motivate yourself, and the one thing you cannot do is think of yourself as lazy. That is detrimental and takes away the positives of getting it done. This has been about 13 minutes of information about procrastination, and I hope you found it helpful. Please join us for future topics for our Monday Minutes and our Wednesday Wisdoms. This is Lori Stevens, and I appreciate your time.